Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio, and Ralph Sharega in Ralph, are you in Boston or are you in
I'm in
Belmont?
Belmont now.
Belmont.
I move around a lot. I stay one step ahead of the law.
Okay. Belmont, Massachusetts. We're a little less than 72 hours for the Jets game. They're going to be going up to Buffalo with their playoff hopes are still alive. We'll get into that. First of all, I just want to apologize to all our fans. We're growing, and we tried having a live simulcast on YouTube, and we're going to have more, but we're just getting through the technical issues. So if the last podcast was not 100% smooth, there were some blanks. We do apologize. With that, though, I have a trivia question, which I'd like to ask. And here it is. This Sunday up in Buffalo, our new quarterback, Mike White, he has a chance to throw his third 300 game passing yards in a row. Can you tell me who was the last quarterback to throw 300 yards 3 games in a row and in what year? And I'll give you
You're talking anyone, not just rookies or guys who have very little experience like
anyone.
them? Anyone.
Give me the year also within, it's not that hard, within
Yeah.
let's say within 3 years. How's that? Okay, so
We're
that's
talking just Jets, though, not anybody in the NFL.
Jets.
Oh, you're talking Jets.
This is just so you know, Ray and Ralph, this is a New York Jets podcast.
Yeah,
so
I wasn't sure.
No.
Yeah, because I figured a lot of people have done it recently. But the funny thing is, I heard this and I already forgot it. So you're lucky you have old co-hosts here, Marty.
It's funny because I hear these questions, and then I'm going to throw another question later. It's not even a Jet question. I just thought it was so fascinating. I said I got to bring that up. Anyway, we're headed up to Buffalo, and I just want to ask you guys. We harped on it a bit last week, and maybe we harped on it too much, but do you think that Robert Saleh should commit to Mike White for the rest of the year at this point, Ray?
Yeah, unless we fall out of the playoff race, and then if they want to try and see what Zach has gotten anything straightened out, then maybe go that route. But as long as we're still fighting for a playoff spot, I think he's got to leave him in there. I think
Well, leaving him in, we know he'll do, but and he's trying to, I guess, coddle this second-year quarterback. The question is, and we spoke about it, should he make an announcement? Would that really have a positive effect on Mike White and maybe the team, or should he just do what he's doing? Remember, Ray, we spoke about this last pod.
Yeah. But
he's had another decent game. Yeah, he's had another decent game since then. So
I think that's more likely to be what you said about, when I said, why can't he just say Mike White's a starter? And you said, well, he probably does to the team, which I don't know if he does that, with like a wink thing. But I think if he were doing that, I don't know that he'd make an announcement, but he'd probably let White and Zach know directly.
Okay, Ralph, what's your feeling?
I don't think he's done it yet, and I don't think he's ready to do it. And I agree with him. I want to see a little more out of Mike White before you make that judgment, because you say it and then he has a couple of stinkers. If he can put together this would be his third solid week in a row, then you start thinking about it after Buffalo, because he's got Jacksonville and Detroit. But I don't think it's time yet, no.
All right, well, let me ask you another question, Ralph. This is one of your types of questions.
Mm-mm.
What would you rather have this weekend as we getting closer to the playoffs? The Jets lose to the Bills 27-24. Mike White throws for 330 yards, 3 TDs, and 1 interception. Or the Jets win 17-14. Mike White is 11 for 26, 1 TD, and 3 interceptions.
I still stick with my feeling about Wilson with that question way back when, but no, I'm not the same with Mike White. I feel a little more comfortable with him having a bad game because I've already seen him have a few really good games. So I would go with a win.
Okay, so you go with Ray. what would you rather have at this point?
If we want to make the playoffs, we need to win, and we need to. If we win the ones we're expected to, we need to steal one of these to really get to 10 and or even 11. But and I think that's more important than his stats. But I think he's earned, as long as we win, I think he's earned the right to stay in there regardless.
Okay, so even again, we all want them to make the playoffs, but you don't care about Mike White's stats and how he plays as long as we win. And I happen to agree with you guys at this point.
They don't need to be killing the stat category every game. The wins are more important.
Right. Let's get to the injury stuff, and which I'm just sick over. They put Max Mitchell on the injured reserve. Everybody, it's old news now, and it's a non-football injury. And we could speculate what it is, but let's be fair to the guy. He's a rookie. One of my favorite.
I think they announced what it is, Marty.
Oh, when did they announce it?
Yeah, he's got blood clotting.
Ooh.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
When did you hear that? Today?
I just read it online. And they say that they caught it early and it should be okay.
Was it in his legs, or did they say?
I don't know. But when I saw that was why I said it'll make Ray upset. Why is it going to make you upset, Ray?
Trey
Smith, yeah. Yeah, a lot of teams stayed away from him, and they should have taken a flyer on him later in the
okay.
draft.
Let me read from Rich Cimini. Okay, that's good, Ralph, that you brought that up. Jets right tackle Max Mitchell was placed on the non-football injury list because blood clots were discovered Monday in his calf and lung. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know the lung. Wow.
Sources confirm on medication for a few months, not career threatening, should be fine long term.
Did Vinny Curry have something like that too? What was the thing?
He had a different type of blood issue that the Jets, when he was going through his physical, they actually discovered, and they might have saved his life. And I think that's one of the reasons why he has a loyalty all of a sudden to the New York Jets. But that's too bad. We wish Max Mitchell well, and I had some awful thoughts, which I apologize, Mr. Mitchell, because
we're so happy you got blood clots in your lungs.
No, I'm not happy. But look, I got to tell you, one of my favorite plays of the year early in the season was when there was a fumble. Max Mitchell,
right? Yeah. He's the only guy who can recover a fumble on this team.
Yeah, and but the thing is, the way he looked like fleet of foot. He looked kind of like a linebacker or a safety running. So I really wish him well, and hopefully he'll be back. But more important is his long-term health as a person. All right, here we go. Ralph, to you. The playoff hopes of the Jets if they beat the Bills, and the playoff hopes if they lose to the Bills. Let's talk about if they beat the Bills.
If they beat the Bills, I think they're going to make the playoffs.
You think it's going to take 10 wins?
10 wins, I think, will do it. Yeah. I think 10 will be fine. If you look at it. I mean, San Diego is not going to win out. They're 6-6, and the Patriots have a brutal schedule. I'm not even worried about them. So I think 10-7, they're in. Yeah.
Okay. What about if they lose?
If they lose, I think it's going to be tough. I'd say I'd give them maybe a 55% chance of getting in. I still think because their schedule. I know there's no gimmies in the NFL, but I look at New England's schedule, San Diego's schedule. I forgot. I think they have a couple of easy games, but nothing's easy. I just think that there's not that many teams that are a threat to them, so I still think they'd have a decent chance. But
right.
I think it'll be touch and go.
Okay, the Jets after Buffalo, they're home against Detroit. That's not a gimme also.
No, they're playing
there's
well.
There's no gimmies. There's home against Jacksonville.
Yeah, and he's playing better, Lawrence, now.
Right.
Yeah.
They finished the season on the road against Seattle, then in Miami.
Tough, very tough.
Very tough. Ray, what's your feelings about if they playoff hopes if they win or lose?
I think I think we have a really good shot at it. I think first of all, it'll give us some confidence back after, last week. And so I feel really good about the possibility of making it should we win. But if we lose, I think we're going to have to, play really well the rest of the way. We don't have much leeway to stumble at all if we lose.
I'll say this though about the Jets. I mean, they've lost only 2 road games this year. The New England one, which was obviously, and the one last week, which they could have won. So they're good on the road, and Seattle is a beatable team on the road for them. Miami, I don't know what the situation will be with Miami at that point. I assume that they're going to still be jockeying for position. They scare me, Miami. I don't, Justin Jefferson's a great player, but for my money, Tyreek Hill scares me more than any receiver in the league.
Right.
He really worries me every play.
Right.
I don't want it to come down to that game.
No, that would not be good. But
everyone's in agreement. If they get 10, they're going to be in. I mean, I don't know. You think it's like 90% sure? I mean,
I would say so.
All right. It depends on what others do, but
obviously, but New England, they're going to lose
tiebreaker, but they've got
New England's not going to go 10-7. That means they lose one more game. Do you know who they play? They play Buffalo, Miami. They play the Raiders, who are playing really good football now.
Well, the Raiders are another team that are kind of sneaking up.
Yeah, they're sneaking up a little. They'd have to run the table though. That'd be kind of tough.
I think.
Ralph, they're going to kill Arizona Monday night.
Don't be so sure about that. New England's not. I don't.
It's at Arizona.
It's at Arizona. New England's not that good. I mean, that's the thing. But I'm going to give them that win.
Yeah.
Then they got the Raiders. Then they have their last 3 games are at Buffalo, Miami, and they have to play Cincinnati. Oh. They're not going 10-7.
This is their last game, or
I don't know if it's their last game, but they have them
because I want it to mean something for Cincinnati too.
Every time one's so bunched up, they're all going to be jockeying for seeds. So I think every game's going to matter.
Oh yeah.
That's a tough schedule, Bar. I think it's tougher than the Jets.
I don't think. I know. I'm not in agreement. I don't think New England is as bad as you guys are saying. They were horrible against Chicago. I think their defense is very good. I don't think Mac Jones is that bad. I think Stevenson's a heck of a running back, and I think their offensive line is pretty good. So,
find me 3 wins in that schedule for them.
I'm just telling you. I don't think. I think they're better than what you guys. It's just we agree to disagree. And Ray, I was looking. Let's just go back quickly. Minnesota, not like Zach Wilson, but Mike White was missing some guys that were open down the stretch. I know he missed Elijah Moore. He missed Denzel Mims. Do you think it's something? You know how I feel about seeing the field. Do you think it's something 5 starts into his career that he can improve on? Mike White, his visual seeing the field.
I don't think that's really a problem for him per se. I think it has a lot to do with the defense that he's playing against and the pressure they get on him and where it's coming from, and his comfort in the system could get better, which might help. But I don't think he's 6'5". I don't think he has a problem seeing the field. But if you're getting pressure right up the middle, you're not seeing the field as well as you are if it's coming from one of the sides. And if other than Zach, who seems to hear pressure coming as soon as the ball gets snapped.
Well, Marty, instead of saying seeing the field, you mean processing, right?
Processing it, yeah. What's your feeling about?
I think he's definitely going to get better, and I think that he left some stuff out on the field the other day. There's no doubt about it. That last play, I think they wanted him to throw into the end zone. They felt there wasn't enough time if you get tackled, and they were right. And so I think he immediately looked in the end zone. He looked through his reads, and there was really nothing there, obviously, because what he ended up throwing to was. But the problem was there was a rusher coming free on the right. I don't know if it was a blitzer or someone whiffed on him, but if he had another second, Elijah Moore underneath, he had about a step and a half on his guy, and there was nobody between him and 5 yards into the end zone. It would have been a touchdown. I think another year from now he makes that play. But
Okay,
yeah.
I just wanna, it just is just aggravating, just to backtrack a step back to Max Mitchell, and I'm just thinking about it. When you and I maintain, and I know every team has injuries. Why does it seem, guys, that the Jets have more injuries or crazier type of injuries than other teams? And I'm thinking like Vinny Testaverde just going back, tearing his Achilles tendon, Marvin Jones all of a sudden on turf, breaking a hip. I'm thinking of Neil O'Donnell in the warm-ups, ripping a calf muscle. Is it me, or is it just that we seem to be cursed on a lot of these
No,
injuries?
I think you're just so in tune to the Jets. If you were in tune to another team over 40 years or 30, like you're talking, you'd have your chance. Look at Eddie Jackson the other day in the Chicago game when Garrett Wilson reversed his field, he just collapsed on his own. I mean,
He's done for the year too.
yeah, I don't. I think you're just imagining things more,
I'm-
and you're not imagining things. But it's football, and weird stuff happens, not
I'm
just
just
to the Jets.
I guess I'm just my Jets paranoia.
Yeah.
Ralph, you know me. I've gone through the last 20 years with the assumption that all these crazy things happen to the Jets and nothing happens to
Well,
the
look at all the backup
Patriots.
quarterbacks we played this year. And Buffalo, the last game was missing a ton of players. Von Miller just went down, even though a player came back. So it's football, Marty.
I don't know. Ray, didn't we have a quarterback that replaced who was at Pennington and he got hurt after 3 plays or something?
Yeah, it was
Jay
Jay
Fiedler.
Fiedler with the same injury. They were both standing on the sideline with their arms in a sling. And that he didn't have his arm in a sling because then Pennington had to go back in and finish the game. But
I mean, my God, look at how Justin Herbert got his job when Tyrod Taylor gets like a injection punctured his lung.
Right.
It's like,
right. Yeah, I just feel it just I don't know what it is, but okay, let's move on because this is Marty's paranoia. I'm just
it's
you know me, I'm always thinking
yeah.
about this stuff and not picking Dan Marino and John Riggins going to Washington. I'm always looking at that stuff. But go ahead, Ralph. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm just going to say that it's football and it's so frustrating because there's so many injuries. But it's funny they have an article on the front page of the Boston Globe today about how a lot of expatriates who have Super Bowl rings are having brain problems and
terrible.
It's
probably Teddy Johnson, I would imagine.
Well, Ted Johnson is actually quoted in the article. It's about other guys now. Yeah, he's been suffering for a long time.
Yeah.
But
it's a horrible thing. I mean, we love the game, and it just I would always tell my wife, when you do your taxes, they have this box to check if you want to donate like $1 to presidential campaigns or something. I said if they had something like that for the NFL to research CTE, I would check it because they had a lot of pleasure of watching it.
You don't think the NFL has enough money?
Oh, I know
do that.
I know.
I'm not giving the NFL a nickel.
Yeah, but I just want the money to go towards these guys. Really, come up with something. And again, at this point, they're so big and fast. More and more injuries. It's just incredible when you read like weekly how many torn ACLs or Achilles. And again, back to the Jets for a second. And I brought up that point like last year and the year before, they had the largest percentage of their salary cap on the injured reserve.
Yeah,
so
they had a
don't
bad
tell
year
me
too.
I'm paranoid, guys. Okay, let's get back to the game. The weather right now in Buffalo, I think it's called for in the high 20s, low 30s, possibility of light snow.
And rain too.
Oh, rain too? Okay.
Yeah, more rain actually in the middle of the day. Yeah, that's the last forecast I just saw. Yeah.
Well, when there's more rain, I think a guy like James Robinson may be activated, though I don't know if he will be.
We saw how Mike White was in a monsoon. So
that gave me hope. I'm glad to see that because he certainly hasn't had much experience in snow. I know that. Although I
yeah,
know I've heard football players also they'd much rather play in snow than a cold rain, which is
Yeah,
must be
but-
miserable.
Ray, you brought a great point. And I was thinking about it today. Our kicker, Greg the Legs Erline, what do you think was more impressive, hitting a 60-yarder indoors against Minnesota, or a week before 57 with the rain and the wind?
57 by far. I mean, I couldn't believe that got there, and you saw the kick he missed, the next kick, and that wind took it from one side of the goalpost to the other and wide. So
Right.
and
I
he got
agree.
that
And
far.
Ralph, what's your
Yeah,
feel?
I agree too. And by the way, one thing I mentioned, I forgot to mention, the latest I saw is that the wind in Buffalo will be 5 to 10, which is not bad.
No,
That's doable. So the wind is worse than anything, it's so let's hope that it's a clean game. I just want a decent game.
If we win the coin toss, what do we
Coin
do, Ralph?
toss. uh
Doesn't everybody defer these days?
Everyone, yeah, this is the thing. Belichick came up with this great idea to get the last score in the first half and the first and second. So now everybody does it. But you also have to think if it's bad weather, do you take the I don't, but who knows which way the wind is blowing? It could be going crosswise. So I suppose you're going to defer because bad weather. Let the other team get the ball first and struggle offensively, maybe.
Okay, yeah. All right, but talking about the weather, if the weather is bad, Ray, is it more of an advantage for the Jets or for the Bills?
Well, first of all, we need to know exactly what it is. If it's snow, I think that's the Bills are better off in that one. But it's hard to say. I mean, we played so well in the rain that
Yeah.
I'm not sure the weather is going to be an advantage because I don't think either team has, because of injuries, I don't think either team is really strong running teams.
Well, the problem though is Josh Allen running. That gives them a big advantage.
That's the guy who could be the difference maker because the running backs I don't think are.
No, their run game is not that great. And it's so funny because every Buffalo Bill fan I was reading assumed that they were going to draft Breece Hall with the 25th pick last year in the first round, and a lot of them were absolutely livid. They took Kyer Elam, which was doing well, but I'm so glad they didn't take Breece Hall. That would have made them really scary.
Right. Just so you guys know, Ralph, you're right. It's going to be raining. It's going to be 31 to 39 degrees with the east-northeast wind at 12 miles an hour. So that gives you an idea. Okay. All right. So I still don't know who has an advantage. I mean, do you think if the weather's bad, they'll
Josh Allen's arm always gives him an advantage.
That's true, and also his legs because running.
Well, that's the running part.
Yeah, so I would give, but like Ray said last week, 2 weeks ago in the Chicago game, that gives us some confidence that Mike White seems comfortable, even though he's a Florida guy. He says it rains there all the time, which it does.
Right.
So, but he played at Western Kentucky. He played in Florida in college. Dallas drafted him. So really, being in New York here is his first exposure to the northern climate.
Right. All right, Ralph, you have a little bit of a history of quarterbacks.
Yeah, this is fun. It's fun.
The number 2 pick. So I'd like to hear it. And go ahead, you take it away.
Okay.
So it's the number 2 overall pick in the draft, not the number 2 quarterback taken.
No, it's this number 2 pick in the draft. There have been 8 of them since in the last 30 years, Wilson being the 8th. All right, listen to this who's who here. First, our old friend Rick Meyer, then Ryan Leaf, then Donovan McNabb, then RG3, Marcus Mariota, who just got benched today, by the way, for Desmond Ridder.
He's going to get cut at the end of the year, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Carson Wentz, Mitchell Trubisky, and Zach Wilson. That is unbelievably pathetic. Unbelievable. So anyone who's going to get on Joe Douglas's case, he's in good company. Here are the first picks that went before them. Meyer, it was Bledsoe. Ryan Leaf, Manning. McNabb, the only decent one, it was Couch, who was terrible.
Oh, man, yeah.
RG3 was Andrew Luck. Mariota, Winston, who wasn't very good. Wentz, Goff, who's actually having a decent year this year. Here's my favorite year though. Trubisky, he was the first quarterback picked. Do you know who the first player picked was, Ray? You know that. You should know that.
Ohio State, probably.
Yeah,
Uh,
Miles
yeah.
Garrett. Yeah, it was
Oh,
Miles Garrett. All right, here's the fun part. So Trubisky was second. Can you name the third, the fifth, and the sixth picks in that draft after Trubisky?
I can't.
Were we one of them?
You ready for this? Number 3, Solomon Thomas.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 5, Corey Davis.
Uh,
Number 6, Jamal Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And-
yes. And by the
it-
way, Patrick Mahomes went 10th.
10. Yeah, that's right. That's really fascinating, Ralph. And I don't know if he's ever going to get back on his feet, Zach Wilson, to be honest with you. I just, Ray, I don't see a path back where he's playing on the Jets or starting on the Jets next year. Do you?
unless, that for whatever reason they see vast improvement, but he's got to show it on the field during a game. I mean, doing it in practice is one thing, but that doesn't mean when the pressure's on, because they can say, he's on being on the practice squad or the what is it, the scout team
The
or whatever
scout
they
team.
call it,
Yeah.
that you face, pro, players at full speed. That isn't, it's never going to be the same as being on the field against an opponent. I mean, they aren't going to go at them the same way. But
Well, the Jet player.
if Mike White continues to just be what he's been and maybe show even a little bit of improvement, I can't see how they could possibly, make a change with him. Now, if they want to go with somebody else, bring in a free agent that they think is better, that's different. But whether it's Zach or Mike, I think it's more in Mike White's hands than Zach's.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to break my Cardinal rules, which I swore I'd never look at next year for the draft. But Ralph, if somehow they trade him for, let's say, a 4th round pick or 3rd round, whatever it is, he's not on the team.
Yeah.
Do you think the Jets will draft a quarterback? And in what round, if Mike White turns out to be a real good starter?
If Mike White turns out to be a real good starter, I don't think they'll draft a quarterback. I think, maybe they'll take a flyer on someone late in the draft, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're drafting a quarterback early next year.
I don't think Flacco's going to be on the team next year, though.
Oh, I know Flacco wasn't, but I think their options are either it's going to be Mike White or they're going to go get someone else. Who I just don't think they have the time to draft another young quarterback and watch him develop for a couple of years. It's just he's already been here. What, Douglas, 3 or 4 years now. It's got to be now.
Right.
As far as Zach Wilson, I kind of feel the same way you do, Marty. I don't see. It's hard for me to see. It really is. I think if, like I've been saying, if he makes it in this league, I think it'll be at his 2nd or 3rd stop. I think this town is too tough for him at this point because he has one bad series. The boos are going to start. It's going to be just brutal.
You can almost see it in his demeanor too, that he's, he just goes into like a little shell. He doesn't like. He started out that first Patriot game good, but as soon as one thing went bad, it just seemed like it changed him completely. And you got to have somebody who has a really, really short memory, especially against somebody like the Belichick and the Patriots.
I think a lot of it is the teammates and how they feel about
Yeah, that's
and
true too.
it gives that credit. He tried when he had this off-season get together in Idaho and all that stuff, but players are not stupid. They see through players when the way they act and what they say, and we all know about the press conferences, so they're not really stupid. I want to get to Ralph's last question about who will make the more Pro Bowls, Sauce or Garrett, Wilson, I guess. But I got a trivia question, non-Jet trivia question I heard, and I'd like to ask it. All right, and it's just, you could just guess at it. In the last 15 years in the NFL draft, how many times have the Jacksonville Jaguars picked in the top 10? In the last 15 years, how many times have the Jacksonville Jaguars picked in the top 10? And as you know, they say if you're picking a player in the top 10, he should definitely be on the squad for a number of years and a possible Pro Bowler. So you guys could just guess, and I'm not going to go through it. I have the answer, but I think it's
I'll say 10. I'll say 10.
Ray.
I was going to say 11.
14 of 15 years.
I thought they might have snuck back to 11 or 12.
I would love for you to read the list of those 14
They read
players.
it, and I don't have it prepared. Maybe off the year I'll go through it, which is just unbelievable. But Ralph, I'll tell you what. Let me turn this over to you, and then maybe I'll look it up, and I'll end it with that. So good. Talk about.
Well, Marty, we also have to do your trivia question.
Yes, we'll do my trivia question. Don't forget.
Okay, so my thought was, assuming decent health for their careers, Ray, who do you think will be make more Pro Bowls? Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson?
Well, from what I've seen this year is all I'm going to go by, because they've both been spectacular. But Garrett Wilson takes some shots, and I'm wondering if it's not going to start catching up to him. So I would go with Sauce at this point. But Garrett's a slippery guy because of the basketball background. But he's taken a few shots, and sometimes that odd position you're in when you get hit can be.
And he is always in opposition because his body control is so amazing that he's
I know.
twisting and turning.
Yeah.
Okay. So while Marty's, I'm going to give you my answer. I agree with you on Gardner, but that's a good point you make. But I kind of feel like, and another reason is the nature of the position. There are certain positions in the league, if you get a reputation, you start getting thrown on. Now, receiver's not one of them because the statistics for receivers are so obvious.
Yeah.
But I know they have more stats now than they used to for, passes defended, but that's limited. And interceptions is not necessarily reflective if you're a good cornerback or not, because teams could be throwing at you rather than throwing away from you. So I'm going to say Gardner just because of that. I think talent-wise, I think it's really like neck and neck. Amazing. And when you think about it, maybe the best of our rookies isn't even either of those guys. It's what a remarkable draft this could be.
Right. All right, let me go through it. I'm going to start backwards. You ready? Trayvon Walker, 22. Trevor Lawrence, 21. 2020, the 9th pick of the draft, C.J. Henderson. 2019, the 7th pick, Josh Allen. And it was 2018, the 1 year. It was the 29th pick, Tavon Bryan.
All right, Josh Allen, the pass rusher.
The pass rusher, right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 2017, the 4th pick of the draft, Leonard Fournette.
Right.
2016, this is a great pick. The 5th pick, Jalen Ramsey. That was 2016. 2015, the 3rd pick, Dante Flower. 2014, the 3rd pick, Blake Bortles. The 2013,
none of them are on the team anymore.
2013, the 2nd pick, Luke Jocko, the tackle.
Luke Jocko, yeah, he went after Fisher. Neither of those guys were any good.
2012, Justin Blackman, a wide receiver. He was the 5th pick of the draft. Jocko was the 2nd pick of the draft. Bortles was the 3rd. 2011, the 10th pick was Blaine Gabbert. 2010, the 10th pick was Tyson Alualu, Alualu, a defensive tackle from California.
Yeah, I remember him. He wasn't
2009, the 8th pick was Eugene Monroe, a tackle from Virginia. And the last one, 2008, we all know this guy. The 8th pick of the draft was Derek Harvey, a defensive end from Florida.
Who went down I think, wasn't he? Oh, no, yeah, he wasn't. He was disappointed too.
So that's really is fascinating.
Unbelievable.
15 years, they had 14 of them. They had top 10 picks, which is just unbelievable.
And you know what? Gardner Minshew, the 6th round pick, plays circles around Blake Bortles and Blaine Gabbert. It's that's why I think the Jets are crazy. Well, no way they're gonna do this whole merry-go-round again with an early quarterback. It's crazy. It really is. I mean,
well, we may end up with Marty's dream and have Minshew on the Jets next
Well,
year.
I think Gardner Minshew, who's gotten the rawest deal in the NFL.
Yeah, I know.
Really, I really do. It's
Yeah, he's up there. I agree with you totally.
yeah, and I would love to bring him in one way or the other. Again, I don't. Let's see how everything pans out. I just
Unfortunately, we have 5 more games to Mike White, so we'll get a good feel by the end of the year.
we will. All right. Anything else before we get back to the trivia question? Okay. The question was this: Mike White is going to Buffalo. He has a chance to throw his 3rd consecutive 300-yard game. The last quarterback to do that, I want the name of the quarterback and the year, and I guess we'll start with Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So, Ralph, it's like when you have an oral report, right?
Right, yeah. Well,
Elementary
unfortunately,
school.
my last name begins with S, so
Yeah,
I
that's it.
raise a C.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with let's see. I'm trying to think the last time we were throwing it all over the field.
You want to yield to Ralph?
Yeah,
The senator from Ohio yields to the senator from New York State. Ralph, go ahead.
I'm wavering on 2 guys, Vinny Testaverde and Joe Namath.
Vinny's a good guess, but here's the answer. You ready?
Yeah.
Hold on. In 1985, Ken O'Brien
Wow.
Yeah.
against Miami, the first of 3, they lost 21-17. He had 393 yards. Then after that, he beat Tampa Bay 62-28.
Oh God.
He had
remember that.
367 yards. Ray remembers that game.
Yep.
And then against the Patriots, they won 16-13. They had 311 yards. So those are the 3 games.
I should have thought of O'Brien, and you never.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought this was a Ray question.
I would have thought it was the next year, that year when they went on that crazy rampage. They won about 10 in a row. Remember? And he was just tearing it up. He and Toon.
And then who was the guy on NBC that used to be the player? Paul McGuire.
Paul McGuire, yeah.
And he said they aren't going to win another game.
Yes. He was right. It's funny because Ken O'Brien is not unlike Mike White. He's he's not that mobile.
Yeah.
Seems like he sees the field pretty well. He's got patience. I would think Mike White arm might be a little stronger. I don't know if it's as accurate as O'Brien's, but
and he knows how to get rid of the ball before getting sacked.
Yeah, which you can't say about O'Brien.
I just hope he improves. My feeling is this: in the perfect world, they saw something like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they just said, "Look, we're going to move this guy ahead of Flacco. He's showing us a lot," and they did. And Joe Flacco wasn't crazy about it. And then they put him in. He had that great game against Chicago. He had a good game last week, a great second half. He threw it in some really tight windows. And some Jet fans I've heard have said he was lucky. Some of those should have been intercepted. But I maintain, and guys, I spoke about this on one of the 2-Minute Tuesdays, that I remember when Brady and Peyton Manning were going at it head on all those years. I was trying to do an evaluation, and if you look close, most of their passes are in such tight windows, they just miss the fingers of these guys, and that's what's separating, great passers from good or fair passes. I don't want to put them in that category, but I'm saying I'm hoping that it's more skill than luck, and I'm hoping that he throws a better pass than he did last year in Buffalo. I think he will. I reviewed that tape, and his arm looks strong. I mean, Ralph, do you think the arm could get stronger within 1 year? As far as you brought out the point last week that they changed his mechanics from the waist down, and that was it. As far as
I know. I saw, like I said, in his college highlights, you could see he had some arm strength. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up. If you remember early in the game last week, the Jets, they were throwing a lot of these slants, and they were all over them. Minnesota clearly watched the tape, and they took away the inside. And I heard Salah talking about this, saying, yeah, like the last drive of the first half, we started going on the outside, and we were loosening them up. But I was thinking, I mean, why did it take so long?
Yeah.
They were really struggling, and he was forcing balls in there, and he was trying to throw behind guys, because it was that bothered me a little. Between Mike White, between LaFleur, I mean, they're looking at those pads, and Mike White and LaFleur is up there.
Listen, I'm moving to the Ray Clifford camp with Mike LaFleur. I just, even though let's face it, Barrios catches the ball. It's a whole nother discussion. But some of the things he was doing, and it actually, Ray pointed out, Ralph, it didn't get in our last podcast because of the technical difficulties. Going to that naked backfield was ridiculous. And I brought up a stat how the NFL this year, from the 1 yard line and in, no teams 14 times ever had a naked backfield, only the Jets. And to me, that's like taking away a lot of the field. But go ahead, Ralph.
I watched his press conference today, and someone asked him that question about that fourth down, why he did that. And he said, that's a play that we've been practicing for 6 weeks, and we felt really comfortable with it. I didn't like his answer very much. He said, I wanted to open everything up to him. To me, the only reason that you wouldn't have him over center is maybe they feel like, when you're over center, you play action, you turn around, you have to reset. He would have a longer time to process what was going on, but I don't think that's good enough, though. That bothered me tremendously.
And no one in the backfield. Ray, what were you feeling, Ray? I mean, you said you were at a bar and people were saying, right?
We were all just kind of going, what are you doing? Get up under center, because to me, one of the biggest things is it makes the defense consider 3 different options. When you're in the shotgun, there's one or
shotgun with an empty backfield. Yeah, that's
so with an empty backfield, unless somebody goes in motion and goes into the backfield, they're running the ball, or which he wasn't, not Mike White's not going to do, or the quarterback's going to take off. Well, okay, so it's Mike White. That's not going to happen. So you take away the play action fake on a run where they have to guard against the run. You take away the quarterback sneak, and then you're left with the pass. That's the one thing I didn't really. That's the main reason I don't care for it. It doesn't. The defense has so much less to worry about in an empty backfield when you're back in shot.
Marty, I listened to your 2-minute show the other day, and you were talking about the frustration that the offensive line in the middle never gets a push on a 3rd and 4th and 1.
Going back to Gase,
remember? Yeah. Can you remember a time? When was the last time that LaFleur put a tight end in the backfield in front of the running back? They got to try something else. And you know what? Even he put the tight end there and then do a play action. Mix it up, man. It's just the same crap over and over on these 3rd and shorts.
And Ray, again, with Michael LaFleur, I'm including this game. I don't know what Ralph just said, if Robert Saleh is covering up about a miscommunication, because it just brings me back to last year's Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
When he said it was a miscommunication, Zach had an option for the quarterback sneak, and Zach thought he had to do the quarterback sneak. You can't do those things when you're on the 1 yard line. This is 2 years in a row, and that play might cost us a playoff berth. And it's egregious. And I'll be honest with you, I know he's best friends with the kid's brother, but he does this stuff. You can't bring him back next year. There's no way if they miss the playoffs. I'm sorry, you just can't do it.
I can't see him getting rid of him unless something were to really go bad. But there's one other thing about that. And maybe where you guys are, there was more talk about it, because I haven't really heard him really get into it much. But I don't understand why nobody's talking about going for it on 4th and 2 from your own 40 that Saleh did there. That to me was also a huge play.
Yeah, that got no play because so much happened after that. I guess it sort of got mixed in the wash. But I think that was hopefully he'll learn from that. That was not a good decision.
We only gave up a field goal, which is great, but you know, I know that, if we had punted, that changes how the whole game may play out, but still, we lost by 5 and they got a field goal on that drive.
Right.
So what if what if it didn't basically play out the same? Then we're down by 2 and we only had to be in field goal range. So, it's things like that. I just think,
Well, if we had been down by 2, we would have kicked the field goal.
yeah,
Instead of going
right,
for
yeah.
4th down twice. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that did make a huge difference.
It
So,
did make a big difference. All right. On that note, listen, the Jets, I'm fairly optimistic that they're going to play well. Mike White's going to have a good game. I'm very, very concerned about the offensive line. The doctor, what's his name, Ralph? That they
Laverne,
Oh,
Lavernus
yeah, he
Cole,
brought him
something
up.
like that.
they brought him to the practice squad, and
Lauren
they really
Duvernay, yeah.
they have to play top notch because our left tackle to me is so brittle. He could come out Dwayne Brown anytime now, and that could be it for him.
Well, you know what? He's hanging in there. He's played
Hanging
more than
in there.
Fenton and Becton this year put together.
Right,
give him credit.
Which is incredible. So, and look, keep in mind too, as it turns out, that Lakeland Tomlinson and Connor McGovern have been the most durable.
Yeah, it would help if they can get a yard for us when we need it.
But Connor McGovern can't.
3rd down and 1, or Ray, 1st and 10. You can't get a yard up the middle. That's it's.
Well,
I guess you just have to do that on 2nd down.
Okay.
If we try something different on 1st down, maybe then we'll do it on 2nd down because.
All right, quickly, Michael Carter is back. Who's our starting running back? Ralph, quickly.
So Carter's definitely dressing for the game. He's
Yeah, so this
I think Knight is definitely.
Ray.
Yeah, probably Knight, but it wouldn't surprise me if they start out with Carter. Just see.
I think you got to go with Knight. I think he's more explosive. Carter now is a good change of pace back. All right. On that note, for Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio, Ralph Sharega in Belmont, Mass, and Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York, we're going to say enjoy the Buffalo Bills game. Look for my 2-Minute Tuesday. It'll be on this Tuesday. Until next time.